type, and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
8:36 AM 560 traffic center time, and Jim Telemonte.
Northbound Veterans Memorial traffic is jammed. I-55 to 63rd Street with a wreck on the left shoulder. Farther north, we see mild delays. Roosevelt to St. Charles, and from the Army Trail toll to 290. Southbound 53, it's stop and go from Dundee to Kirchhoff. Got Eden's 23 minutes like Cook to the junction. Kennedy, 50 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 33 from Montrose, 30 in the Express. Eisenhower, 58 minutes, 390 to downtown, 40 from Manheim. Stevenson, 57 minutes, 355 to the drive. Outbound, 53. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 26 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 30. It's on Reagan Tollway traffic. Slow Farnsworth, 53. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our 1 hour heating and air conditioning weather center, we're seeing clouds this morning, fog in Aurora, DuPage Airport right now. Some visibilities are shrinking a bit. Drive with care. Then the sun breaks out for the afternoon in the forecast. Milder, I-43. 36 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity, this afternoon at 2 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So we've got House Speaker Pelosi meeting with her caucus today to make some sort of decision about transmitting or not transmitting the articles of impeachment to the Senate, or maybe per the argument advanced by George Conway, Mr. Kellyanne Conway, and Neil Keitel, former Solicitor General from Obama, maybe advancing one article and not the other.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what they're suggesting. That's what they suggested. Advance the obstruction of Congress, because everything you need is in the public record. Hold on the abuse of power, because we're holding out hope that more evidence might make itself available that would strengthen our case. So against that, you've got the last debate tonight before the Iowa caucus, and then you're really in sprint formation for the race to the Democrat Socialist Party nomination. So what is a House Speaker to do who's mainly trying to protect her majority and perhaps secondarily trying to help her buddy Chuck Schumer take back the Senate, and perhaps tertiary interest is the White House? Selwyn Duke, contributor to The Hill, the American Conservative and American Thinker, has written about Pelosi's timing with the impeachment articles and suggests that maybe her four-corner offense is a way to do damage to Comrade Bernie, who's emerged as, well, the front runner, at least in the first two states. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Selwyn Duke. Selwyn, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. Great to be with you.
So give us the angle here. How does Pelosi, the timing of her release of the articles, damage or assist Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, well, the conventional wisdom, Dan, is that Pelosi stumbled into this predicament, that she was pushed into impeachment, and I do believe that. I subscribe to that way of thinking. You know, as the saying goes, never attribute to malice what is better explained by stupidity. That said, she may now be trying to turn lemons into a thimbleful of lemonade, and she may be saying, okay, well, how can I turn this to my advantage and the party's advantage? And we know that the Democrat establishment does not want Bernie Sanders as the nominee. He's not a Democrat. He's an independent. He truly is anti-establishment, for good or for ill, and in this case it's ill. So he's not going to play ball with the Democrat establishment. So they certainly don't want him. And the reality, though, is that what's going to happen if she sends the impeachment articles to the Senate this week? Well, they're going to have a trial, and what that means is that the senators who are currently running for the presidency are going to be taken off the campaign trail, and one of those senators, of course, happens to be Bernie Sanders. Now, this is happening at a critical time because the Iowa caucus is coming up February 3rd, and Bernie Sanders, the last I saw, the Real Clear Politics average of the polls, had a very, very slight lead. So right now it's very important for them that they're out there campaigning, but if they have to be at a Senate trial, they're taken off the campaign trail. They can't do that. That can really hobble Bernie Sanders. Now, I would find it hard to imagine that Pelosi has not pondered this reality at all, because she's a political animal and certainly people in her orbit would be talking about it. So it's something that has to have occurred to her, and why wouldn't she be thinking along these lines? You also have to remember that, as I said, Bernie Sanders has been surging in the polls, and the other senators who would be taken off the campaign trail are completely expendable. I mean, Elizabeth Warren is one of them, but she has been on the wane lately because of her ridiculous policy proposals and her continual lying. These things have been catching up with her. Cory Booker just dropped out of the race, and Amy Klobuchar, well, she has a little wind in her sails, or had for a while, but no one really believes that she's going to be the nominee. But Bernie Sanders does matter. And remember something, that the first contest, Iowa, can establish or kill momentum. It's very, very significant. If you win that, you get a lot of immediate attention, you're big on the radar screen, maybe some undecideds are going to swing in your direction. So it really does matter. Also realize, Dan, that for Pelosi, this is not necessarily just going to be professional, but also personal. Now, the reason why I say that is, who is Bernie Sanders? He is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's candidate. Cortez has been campaigning by his side on the campaign trail. She's a major reason why his campaign has been resuscitated after his heart attack. You know, she's been rallying young voters by his side. And someone who now is Ocasio-Cortez, well, she has been Pelosi's foil. She has been Pelosi's nemesis. She and her crew are the ones, it said, who pushed Pelosi into the impeachment fiasco in the first place, a plunge that Pelosi did not want to take. And, of course, she's been challenging Pelosi's power. She's trying to primary, Ocasio-Cortez is, less radical Democrats and get her radicals in power. Now, Pelosi is not going to appreciate that at all, and you can only imagine how much she must despise this socialist from New York. So I think she would just relish the idea, Pelosi would, of sticking a shiv in Bernie's back and by proxy in Ocasio-Cortez's back by taking Bernie off the campaign trail. It's something, like I said, that she must have thought about, and it definitely will have an impact if she sends those impeachment articles to the Senate this week. How much of an impact, though, remains to be seen.
What about Chuck Schumer's attempt to try and get 6 Senate Republicans to be open to calling for witnesses? Is anybody defecting?
Well, not that I'm aware of, but that remains to be seen, and we don't really know if that would work out in the Democrats' favor. I'm not so sure it would.
Right, well, you could open up Pandora's box, but the matter of Pelosi and the Democrat Party establishment, and by that I mean Obama world that you're describing, is it down to a place where they're not going to be particularly comfortable, but they may be forced to do something that, ironically, they don't want to do, which is rally behind Obama's vice president, Joe Biden?
Yeah, it does look like right now they're doing that he's the default choice. And, of course, he's a terrible candidate for obvious reasons. He's a gaffe machine. He does seem to be in mental and physical decline, at least certainly the former. But they may have no choice. But also remember, and I'm not the first one to talk about this, we may be heading for a brokered Democrat convention. That may end up being what happens. And if that's the case, then, of course, there could be any result imaginable. They could even try to draft someone such as Hillary Clinton. And I don't think that that's a very unlikely possibility. Really? But we see right now these attacks.
That'd be some white knight that they came up with, doing a rerun of 2016. I mean, I understand the brokered convention possibility, and but I mean, this has been all the talk up until Steyer and particularly Bloomberg got in. You know, they've been waiting for Godot. And even after all this money spent and all these candidates have been measured and one is going to be found less not wanting than the others, then they're still going to be in a position looking for a white knight. That's a very difficult position to be in going into a general election.
It is. And it's a testimonial as to how poor the Democrat field is, that Hillary Clinton now is actually starting to look good, but she is starting to look good. I mean, it's as if central casting put together this Democrat array of candidates. You have Elizabeth Warren, who for a lot of her life was masquerading as an American Indian and who lies constantly and quite frankly is just off the wall with her proposals. You have Pete Buttigieg, who's a very weird character in his own way, goes around preaching to people about religion as if he's some holier-than-thou character. You have Bernie Sanders, the crazy old Marxist right out of the 1960s. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you really can't make up. But they actually do make Hillary Clinton look good. And whoever thought that feat was even possible, right?
What about Michael Bloomberg? I mean, we know he's sitting out the Iowa caucuses, primaries in New Hampshire, and then is going to, come around on Super Tuesday. Is he just wasting his own money here? I mean, he's going to pay in about $1 billion.
Yeah, I know. Well, he recently said, of course he wasn't serious, that he's willing to spend his entire fortune to oust Donald Trump from the White House. Well, I would love it if he would do that just so he could blow his entire fortune. But I've been saying all along that he has no chance. Now, you never know. Maybe I'll end up with egg on my face, but I really don't think so. I mean, the bottom line is that Michael Bloomberg basically has the charm of a toilet seat. To steal a line from Pat Buchanan, he's like Richard Nixon without the charm. And that's very important on the campaign trail. I mean, that's just imperative. Additionally, this is a man whose positions are not going to appeal to a wide swath of voters anywhere, really. I mean, he's got these left-wing positions. He's a nanny stater. The liberals really don't like him because of his stop and frisk policies. So it's hard to imagine where his large constituency is. By the way, blacks are not going to like him because of the stop and frisk situation. So I don't think he has much appeal at all. Now, he has managed to buy himself, maybe 5% in the polls right now, and money can take you a long way, but it can't take you all the way to the prize. You do have to be an appealing candidate. You do have to have policies that resonate with the electorate. And I do think that Doomberg, as I call him, is just wasting his money. But hey, at least he's helping the economy in some way because he's pumping cash into it, right?
Well, let's go back to Red Diaper Mannequin Pete for a minute, because you've got somebody who wrote a memoir about him, wrote his memoir in his 30s. He's got a thin public record. He's Red Diaper Baby, as I sort of alluded to. That worked for Democrats back in 2008. Why not try it again? And he's got the kicker, right? Make history. That's the fourth parallel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, unfortunately, this is an immaturity that has beset us in this country nowadays. And I know Thomas Sowell was talking about this years ago in reference to Barack Obama. He was saying, people want to elect him because he's the first black president, and then what's it going to be the next time? The first female president, the first Hispanic president, the first Asian president. And when you think along these affirmative action lines, you're not looking for the best. That's disastrous for the country. But unfortunately, a lot of people nowadays do operate on that basis. I mean, I remember, and I said this was the case back when everyone was saying, well, Barack Obama being black, that's a liability because America is so racist. I said, no, actually, that's advantageous to him. And then sure enough, a poll came out showing that while 6% of voters back then in 2008 would be less likely to vote for Barack Obama because of his race, 9% would be more likely to vote for him because of his race. So there are bandwagon people out there who will simply vote for someone because, like you said, they want to make history, and all they're really doing is making trouble because they're not voting for candidates based on merit.
He is Selwyn Duke. He's a contributor to The Hill, American Conservative, WorldNet Daily, American Thinker. Check out his most recent piece on Pelosi's timing with those impeachment articles, and we'll find out more today what that next phase timing will be. Selwyn Duke, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me in. God bless you and your audience.
Thank you.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
For over a half a century, Seven Dwarfs Family Restaurant has been feeding and putting smiles on the faces of hungry adults and kids. Their mouthwatering food and unique decor are why they're one of the oldest and most popular restaurants in DuPage County. I used to go there all the time as a kid. Get comfy in a table or booth, enjoy the colorful murals on the wall, and experience why generations of customers have made Seven Dwarfs their regular go-to spot for the best breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything on Seven Dwarfs' extensive menu is homemade from scratch, including 3 to 4 daily specials and a choice of 2 homemade soups. And be sure to save room for Seven Dwarfs' popular ice cream and sundaes. When you're craving a truly delicious home-cooked meal but don't feel like cooking, visit Seven Dwarfs